How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Hello everybody, welcome back. It's 2FAST2MOVIE. I'm your host Abraham, and with me is my co-host Ben, here to talk about Season 4, Episode 15 of Attack on Titan, Soul Salvation. Now before we begin, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. We're uploading new videos every week. Attack on Titan, My Hero, Invincible. Just hit the bell, come on back, you know you want to. And spoilers ahead for this episode, you have been warned. My God. Not only do we got to talk about this episode, we got to talk about the previous episode really quick.
Yeah.
Because when we were watching the official translation, we realized that there were a few things that did change from the version that we covered last week. You can check it out by hitting that button in the corner right there. Yeah.
It was
still kind of the same.
For the most part, yeah. There's a couple pieces that I think better inform the subtext of some of Eren's conversations as well as some of Zeke's conversations. Intent is still there, however. One notable piece from this official translation that did change was when Eren is in the unofficial translation, he refers to Hanji and the other prisoners that they have taken as your friends, i.e. Armin and Mikasai, where in this version he says Hanji and the others are just being moved somewhere safe.
Right.
Which removes him a decent amount from them, but doesn't outright declare him as their enemy.
Exactly.
Or his indifference to them, which is a big deal on the subtext level, because it does mean that he still could potentially have some alliance to them. However, Eren's been sending us a lot of mixed messages, period, so...
Yeah, he's still beat the crap out of Armin and said that he hated Mikasa. That didn't change.
Nope.
So yeah, there is some nuance to that, and take that for what you will. We also got to talk about that whole ending scene that we just didn't get with Flock and the new recruits, because Flock gave an amazing speech at the end of the last episode that we just weren't able to talk about because we just...
there was an earthquake, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a very nice rallying speech, though. But Shadis was calling him out very hardcore, saying like the only reason why you realize too, Flock, that nobody actually cares what you say unless you point a gun at them. Like that's kind of where we're kind of all at with Flock right now.
I mean, you got to remember, just because someone gave a nice speech does not mean they are right. There have been many leaders who have given rousing speeches.
Holy crap.
Who are not great people.
Yeah,
so
to say the least. Public speaking is an indicator of good virtues.
Yeah, exactly. So take that as you will, i.e. Hitler. But we can go into... He does rouse, and clearly there is a populist moment happening to the point where he calls out and is like, "Hey guys, in order to prove your resolve, time to beat the shit out of your drill sergeant Shadis."
Yeah. And they do it.
Yep, they do, and he's not dead.
He's just
fucked up.
And he's not a Titan like Armin, so he's not going to recover.
Nope.
That quick.
That's super healing is not there. Shadis is going to be in the hospital for a bit.
Yeah.
If they give him that courtesy. Otherwise, he's just going to be on the floor of some prison.
Speaking of hospital, guess who else is going to need a hospital? Zeke, after Levi. Also, after he ripped him out of the Beast Titan body, he started chopping up his feet, and then stuck the Thunder Spear into his abdomen and tied the fuse to his neck. And that's kind of how we ended the last episode, with the tease for the flashback that we were going to cover in this one. So, that was horrible. That was raw.
Let's just go into it.
Let's talk about little old baby Zeke. So, growing up in the internment zone, Zeke was raised with the explicit purpose of becoming a warrior candidate for the Eldian restorationists, led by Grisha and Dina. Though Zeke wanted to simply live his life with his father and mother, their expectations, as well as the expectations of the Marleyan military and its citizens, weighed on him immensely. Eventually, he met Tom Xaver, the previous Beast Titan. While Zeke lacked a father figure, Xaver sought a son when his Marleyan wife committed suicide after learning that he was Eldian. Later, Zeke overhears the Marleyans discussing their latest intel. They'd found out about the restorationists and the informant known as the Owl. After Zeke tries to warn his parents to no avail, he confides in Xaver. Resigning himself to his and his family's fate, Xaver suggests turning them in. After all, they didn't care about him. They never loved him.
Ooh, feels bad, man.
It's
Feels bad.
rough. It's rough. That is the most rough backstory I've ever heard in my life. I mean, it's like it's. We've
had some pretty bad ones in this show, actually.
I mean, yeah, true. Reiner was
Grisha's is pretty up there. Reiner's is pretty up there. And
Grisha's Zeke's is basically, I wanted to play catch with dad, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, okay, daddy issues are just I mean, Grisha also, everyone has kind of had a lot. Yeah, actually, no, there's been a lot of daddy issues.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, looking at all this, it does give there plenty of reason behind Zeke's backstory, and it was kind of nice to know that he didn't just sell them out because he was some sort of Marleyan loyalist and they fucked up on their parenting. No, they actually did inform him pretty well of what life was like for Eldians.
Right.
But hey, Grisha, you should try a little bit harder. Just be a good dad.
Yeah, try being a good dad instead of a great voice actor. Because what? I really gotta. I wrote that in the notes because that cannot go unsaid. Grisha's voice actor, for as little as he's in the show, that one scene where Zeke is just laying in the dark with his blanket over him, and Grisha and Dina are screaming in the background, haunting. One of the most bone-chilling moments in Attack on Titan, I think. And this whole episode was masterfully done to give Zeke that bit of sympathy that he was solely lacking.
I mean, it is the penultimate episode. I will say, this has not changed my opinion of we do not stan Zeke, but...
No, I don't stan him, because he has... Even, again, Levi called him out on this. Like, you killed all my men, all the Eldians within the walls, gassed all of Ragako because you're a good guy. That, like,
no.
He still did bad things, and we should never forget that.
But this does supply reason.
Exactly. And you can treat characters as people more when you understand them. So I appreciate that at least.
You know what else this man is at least trying to do? Outright commit eugenics.
Yeah, because as much as that Zeke sob story is like nice, there's not much to talk about there. The real meat and potatoes comes with the plan that's revealed in this episode. And the episode hinges on the struggle between resigning yourself to the world and fighting for something better. Grisha believed that you must always fight to create a better world. And while that was true, he forgot to raise Zeke and teach him the worth of life. It is for that reason that Zeke believes that euthanizing all Eldians is the best course of action. After all, if none of the Eldians existed, none of them would be suffering. Later in life, when Zeke learns about Eren's existence, he believes that Eren was manipulated by Grisha in the same way that he was. As the two reconnect before the beginning of Season 4, Eren laments about his father's actions inside the walls, and how he killed the children of the royal family. If they hadn't existed, they too could have been spared the cruelty of the world. And so, the two brothers seemingly joined forces to carry out this plan of mass euthanization. We should start off by clarifying it. It's not really euthanization.
Yeah.
You pointed this out. It's sterilization.
Yeah, it's I'm really confused as to, because someone like Crunchyroll, as well as, frankly, anyone with a grasp of the English language to the point where they would be doing communications like this, would know that euthanization means to peacefully murder.
But,
well, not necessarily. It can be used in medical pieces, and that's usually what it's used for. Sterilization is the removal of someone's ability to have children, which is what their actual plan is, and has a lot of its bases in eugenics, which we have. What is it with this show and having to talk about really heavy,
hey man,
really heavy,
everything.
entirely too relevant
Yeah.
subject lines?
I will say, I think the reason why they give the term euthanization, this is the defense for that. On the first viewing, I would say that, but thinking about it more, it's on a worldwide and racial scale.
Yes.
The likes of which sterilization is, when you think of sterilizing someone, it's like a medical procedure that you do on one person. You are now sterilized, but the end result is to get rid of an entire race of people. So goal in mind and also scale, euthanization does kind of make sense.
I'd agree with that, but it's worth noting on a language level that not every Eldian is just going to drop dead once they do this.
Exactly.
If they do this.
We should also talk about recontextualizing season 3, because that's what Zeke meant when he told Eren, "I'm going to come back and I'm going to save you." He meant that. At the time, I think a lot of people thought that was like some weird mind trick, or at the very least that it was just strange. But now we know the true reason why. It's because Zeke had gone through all these harsh turmoils. He believes that Eren has gone through the same thing or something similar.
Well, he's projecting a lot.
It's yes.
He's like, "Oh, our dad raised us the same way and brainwashed you." It's just like, no, my dad was actually really good up until like the walls fell and then shit got kicked into overdrive.
Yeah, and then I'm pretty sure he got the power of the founding Titan the night the walls fell, right? Or somewhere around that time.
I'm actually not sure. It was either because we know that it was post the walls falling.
Right. So, because he said, "I'm going to show you what's in the basement." He leaves. Wall comes crumbling down. Next thing Eren knows, he wakes up with a memory of Grisha injecting him, giving him the key.
Yes. So it was a very tight. Bottom line, that was a very tight window. But from what we could tell, the only reason why Grisha initially went along with that was because shit was happening way too fast for him to keep up with it.
Yeah, like he got recruited by the Owl last minute after his wife and all of his friends and his son betrayed him, and then he was like, "You know what? I'm just tired. I'm gonna live a life."
Yeah,
and then it wasn't until like his last moments that he
started to move and go back into this. So Eren got to have a full childhood. We know this. So much of this show and Eren's arc is the corruption of a really pure person in the beginning into what we see now in this season. So yeah. I guess one of my things is like, this can't actually be Eren's plan based off of Eren. I feel like Eren just has to have something else up his sleeve.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen enough. We were debating a little bit before this podcast about if him experiencing his father's outright murder of the royal family bloodline is what informed this decision, but it's not enough, and the timeline doesn't. Yeah, the timeline doesn't work because he would have had this opinion all throughout the flashbacks during this season.
Yeah, I think it did affect him in some way, because thinking back, at the end of season 3, when he approached the Titan and like started acting differently towards it instead of killing it outright and hating it, and then like the speech that he gave looking at the ocean, I think there was a change, but it's not this change.
No.
Because like you said, there was a time when he was against Zeke. And if the memory of his father crushing the children changed him so much, then seemingly he would have been along with Zeke's plan when during that 4-year flashback that we saw.
He would have jumped on the idea using the rumbling right away, which he doesn't do.
Right.
He's adamantly against it in the beginning.
So is Eren not about this? And
he has some other plan.
Something beyond the rumbling and beyond the euthanization?
Either that or permutations of the two.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, there's just not enough right now.
Yeah.
There's conflicting information and jumps in logic, and we've got another part coming on, so we
got a whole additional half of the season after next week's episode. So
yeah,
we're just gonna have to sit and wait on that one. So I guess one of my big things is just the other seemingly plot hole, although there are minor ways to describe this. However, I'm sure they could have found ways around it. Is why did they, if they wanted to just sterilize all Eldians, and that was a big part of their end game, why didn't they just do that while they were in Marley?
That is a good question. Oh, okay, originally before we started taping, this is what I said, and actually I have a different idea just after thinking and having this conversation. Originally, my idea was maybe because of Eren's status as a Paradisian and Zeke's status as a warrior candidate, him interacting with other people in the internment zone could be seen as suspicious and could lead people on to not trusting Zeke, which doesn't really make sense, as you pointed out, because at this point, they're not even focused on Paradise, really. Like, this is before the Willie Tiber speech and everything, so that's probably not it. Now I'm thinking, though, after you just said, is there more to Eren's plan? Could it be that Zeke maybe just didn't trust Eren? Or maybe there is, like, a bit of reservation? Because even Zeke questioned him, saying, like, oh, so you think Father was right?
I'm not... I do think that Zeke didn't trust him initially, but based off of that conversation that they have, it seems like Zeke is like, okay, I can go along with this person. I've shared my plan for the mass euthanization. Mass sterilization. I'm not going to try. My tongue's too tied. But it just doesn't seem like... It doesn't seem like that's enough of a reason. Like,
I don't know. That's like the only other thing that I can think of.
Because, well, the issue is that they're waiting until they're on Paradise for this. So for some reason, in the order of operations, they see it as either necessary to activate the test of the rumbling first, or there is another element that we are not entirely aware of. Which, with this show so far, I would not be surprised if we found out part 3 of their plan included some other crazy shit in between those two things.
You also have Zeke still in Marley, and if they did the sterilization, because the sterilization is only one part of it. It's sterilization and then also the rumbling to give Eldians protection while they slowly die off.
Yes.
So when Zeke is in Marley, the plan, I think the idea is they get to Paradise, they set up a base, they do the rumbling euthanization plan, and then they wait out the rest of their lives, and then they die peacefully. Yeah. That's probably the more likely answer. That they just... That makes
sense. I guess my question is like, if the euthanization... Oh my gosh, I can't say that word today. If that is supposed to be this quiet thing that no one can even notice, then why even bother with the rumbling in the first place?
I guess if everyone worldwide of the... Because Eldians are... we're talking about it in analogous to Nazi Germany. As opposed to people in Nazi Germany, Eldians are hated worldwide and are suffering the same conditions in Marley on an even worse level worldwide. If all of a sudden every single Eldian could not produce children, would people catch on after some time, and would that create even more unrest?
Maybe.
Like
I could see
in
that.
5 years, like in the first
like
10 years, nothing. Like no one's gonna know, of course.
Yeah.
But like in 10, 20 years, everyone start thinking, wait, no more Eldians? What's going on? Would that create a frenzy of people trying to exterminate the race?
Potentially. That's actually a good point. So, I mean, frankly, this is just a wait and see type thing. We might find out more from Eren, but I doubt we're gonna find out more from Zeke.
Yeah, because yeah, because as the flashback, comes to an end, Zeke screams, "Mr. Xaver, I hope you're watching," and then pulls the trigger of the Thunder Spear connected to him. It explodes, and Zeke and Levi, caught up in the explosion, go flying in opposite directions. Zeke, as you said, is bisected. His just body is split in half. The horse is on fire. We don't even know if Levi's alive, and then the episode just cuts. It ends. So, yeah, now...
What's the chance of survival? How are we rolling these dice?
It's very low, again. But then again, we had the same conversation about the wine. And then
Yeah.
I also said to you about, because remember in season 3, Reiner got his head blown off and then transfer conscious. I'm not saying it's the same, and he was in the Titan body. I'm just saying that Titan powers are OP.
They are. I think the only way I see Zeke getting out of this is like literally if during the explosion, if just a giant gorilla lands on the other side of everything, then like, yeah, he's fine. He's fine. He did what Reiner did, transferring his consciousness into the thing at lightning speed. If that doesn't happen, the magic system doesn't have enough to really be able to save him without us jumping the shark. Mm-hmm. I don't see any ways that they could expand off of what they already built to make that work.
Well, again, this episode actually also kind of revealed we don't know anything about Titans.
Not necessarily.
We know that the founding Titan has the ability to like reach into other people through paths. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's no audio listeners for this. So again, this is the only reason why I find this unlikely is that so let's say you're looking at the three rules of using magic within a fantasy world. So like the first rule is that the ability for you to be able to solve a problem with magic has to be proportional to the audience's understanding of that. Mm-hmm. And I believe it's either the second or third rule that applies to this situation, which is you need to branch off of what you've already built before you add something new. So with what we've seen with the now expansion of the abilities of the founding Titan, that holds up to that rule, because previously we just knew that the founding Titan could control all other Titans and could wipe the memories of all of the Eldians. Mm-hmm. And then they expand upon it as not only could they seemingly wipe their memories, but they seem to be able to change the biology of all Eldians as well. So now we've created that branch of this magic system, being the founding Titan, has now branched out into 3 different portions. Mm-hmm. With the actual Titans itself, we've seen that they have the advanced healing. They are capable of transferring their conscious into their Titan themselves in order to stave off and be able to heal while in their Titan form. And we've seen the pieces of hardening and everything else that has been slowly revealed to us throughout the show. We only really have these 2 things, unless they were to add an extra element of Titans at this point. I feel like it's, again, unless he is blasted away and turns into Monkey Man halfway through, there's not enough for them to expand on without it coming out as being outlandish or jumping the shark.
Right. I think I am worried about them jumping the shark because Xaver's line in this episode, and he said something like, in truth, there's very little we know about Titan science, and also the idea that Ymir was given something. We've seen
Touch
in
something in order to get it. Yeah.
Right. Like we've seen the iconography of like the founder Ymir making a deal with the devil, but in truth, we don't know what happened all those years ago, and we don't even know what the paths even are. Like, I mean, we know that there's like a connection, but like apart from that, there's a lot of mystery still there. And I think that line at this stage of the show might indicate that there might be more to it. And again, the only possibility that I can think of is that it could be linked to Zeke's royal blood.
It could be. I think the royal blood thing. Yeah, you're right. There is an additional element there.
Right. There's again, nothing is set in stone, and you are right. As is indicated in the show, there's not enough. But again, we were just talking about Titan.
I'm worried about them making it too convenient for themselves, and because at this point we're in this weird situation where both the protagonist and antagonist are both running into obstacles of their own, and it just doesn't come across as good storytelling to have Zeke survive.
Yeah.
So,
alternatively, we were talking though, because if Zeke does die, and again, that's still a very high possibility, as Titan rules state, the power gets passed on to a random child born at the same time. Guess who's pregnant right now in the story of Attack on Titan?
Not just a little bit pregnant,
and
very pregnant.
And who is also of royal blood. So
yeah,
if Zeke dies, which again, I'd be cool if they did, because backstory, they just literally just covered it. It's still good. And Eren could fulfill the plan in his absence still with this child. If that's like the MacGuffin in the part 2,
that would be absurd,
dude. I didn't
even think about that. Not going after Historia, but going after Historia's baby.
Yeah, because Historia's not important right now because she doesn't have a Titan power, and the only other Titan power in the area is Armin and Eren that are allies.
Allies.
I mean, but like, you know. Yeah, not on the side of Marley.
They are part of paradise.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. I think that is where the plot's going, because guess what?
That would be
no.
Horrible.
Here's the thing. If Zeke lives, they would just get to their end game next episode.
Yeah.
The show would be over. It would be game over for everyone.
Right.
Their plan would be complete. They'd have everything they need to do it.
Because Hanji and Flock are going to be on their way too, so if Zeke is alive, then they're just like, oh, there he is. Let's go.
Yep.
Let's fulfill the mission.
Yeah.
But if he's dead, that suddenly creates a conflict that's super interesting and also very dark.
And there's no way that we didn't have Pixis put Historia under that kind of protection as the only other member with royal blood without it coming back to hit us with the plot.
Yeah.
This has to be where the story's going.
It's important. They didn't just put that in for no reason. Everything in Attack on Titan is there for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay. That's horrible. That's dark, but that sounds like
I love it.
That's an amazing story.
That's going to be really good.
Okay.
There's going to be a poor little MacGuffin child. How sad.
We're probably not going to get to it in the next episode because in the preview, spoiler alert, Yelena speaks with the scouts trapped in jail, and the narration implies a struggle of ideals. And the episode is titled Above and Below. Actually, rereading that, there isn't actually a lot shown in the preview. It's literally just one scene, so we could get to that very easily. We also talked about the Marleyan attack. That is inevitable. That's going to happen.
It's got to happen.
And if all of the fight to get the baby is happening amidst an attack from Marley.
There's a lot of moving parts.
We said
It's gonna
before,
be
like
chaos.
there's a lot of factions at work. That would be insane, and it's all a race to get to the baby.
I could. Oh man,
Dude.
I know we don't have proof that this is gonna happen, but I love this plot idea
Yeah.
that just came up. I mean, no, the baby's gotta happen. There's no way they made Historia pregnant for no reason.
And
That
just
would be
sidelined
fucking
her for
stupid.
half the story.
Yeah, there's no way. She's been so important up till now.
Right.
It's gotta. It definitely has to happen. No, because with no Zeke, Historia's gonna come back into the plot. The Marlene attack. I have a theory
Go for
that
it.
we discussed previously, but it is worth it for the podcast. So, we have the Marleyan forces at work here. So now there is a three-way war, and to put it lightly, the Paradise Army is fucked.
They're split apart. They're all over the place. Their best warriors are either possibly dead in prison.
Kidnapped.
Yeah.
It's all bad, or have turned over to the Jaegerist.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Marleyan warriors are they're going in with a ragtag team, but they're the fucking warrior unit. They're gonna be able to wreck shit.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, like, oh, maybe they'll pack a punch. No, it's gonna be, a lot of people are gonna die when the warrior unit shows up. Now, previously, we would have no reason to associate both of them as being against Eren Yeager and uniting. But now there is one person who vaguely knows of Zeke's plan. And that is Levi. Levi hears the motive of euthanizing the Eldians and saving them all from being born. If Levi manages to survive, he knows what Eren and Zeke's endgame was.
Yeah.
He will be able to say, this person is trying to start the rumbling and destroy all of us. We need to work together in order to take out this greater evil than any of us.
I think the problem with that, and the only problem that I can really see right now, is that I think the only reason why Magath and the Marleyan soldiers might be willing to fight Eren Yeager for this plan is because of the Titans' effect on like their military industrial complex. And I don't know how I feel about them.
You're forgetting
fighting
one thing.
For that. What's up?
Magath is an Eldian sympathizer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because I remember when
Magath
Lily
is
was
one of the few
talking with-
people, and they were really cold and calculated. They knew that an attack was likely to happen, so they put the entire front brass of the military up in those first row seats back in the earlier half of the season.
You're right. I totally forgot about that.
Magath is an Eldian sympathizer.
And he's the general. He's in charge now.
He's the guy. He is
Okay.
the one person that
That's possible.
we were talking about this, that in order for things to be written right for LDN, for there to be a happy ending,
There needs to be some kind of unity. And
exactly.
that's their way out. It's possible.
This provides at least a blueprint of how they could get there.
But then they would have to he has to work to dismantle. There's a lot of work to be done in just well,
No, you can leave that shit for the epilogue.
yeah, true.
So that's my insane fan theory, but we're gonna have to wait and see what it turns out to be.
I hope that's true because, as we said before, if Attack on Titan doesn't end right, it's going to be problematic.
Yes.
Especially with the subject matter that they're talking about. They've got to nail it on the head. They can't make a mistake, and they've already been questionable for 3 seasons. This is not the time to squash it.
Agreed.
And we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of 2FAST2MOVIE. Let us know what you thought in the comments section down below. Did you like this episode or not? And hey, if you'd like this, check out our other stuff, Return to the Movie. We actually publish that on everywhere you can find podcasts. Just look up Return to the Movie and you can find it there. Applause for that. We're also going to be covering, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Invincible. More of this show when it comes out eventually. And Invincible. Did I already say that one?
Yes, you did.
Who knows? Just check out all the shows that we're going to be posting here on the channel very soon.
We also did a review of the Snyder Cut on the Return of the Movie. That's
Yes,
going to be coming out this week.
Check that out as well. And hey, as always, it's 2FAST2MOVIE.